Good morning, Mayor-elect.
I was going to say congratulations. Yeah,
Yes.
Mayor-elect Arnold.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now the real work begins, right?
When do you start?
Week from Tuesday.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's a quick turnaround.
it is. Big deal. Well, it's exciting. So, well, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order since we have a quorum. No visitors, obviously. So let's start talking about the business liaison proposal.
I'm gonna
So,
pull it up on the screen for everyone as well, so I'll share the Word document version.
yeah,
Hopefully you can see that. And I just did that, Mr. Chair, so that, oops, I stopped the share.
that's okay.
I'll do it again, so that we can all, and I've got this, so if there are changes you all want to agree to, we can just make them right here on the screen as we're talking.
Live changes on it.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Everybody that's online, did you all get a chance to look at this? Read it yet, or should we kind of read through it real quick?
It was sent out after the last
That's right.
meeting.
Yeah. Pam, you're muted. Cece's coming in. Let Cece get in here. Morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Good to see you. So we just called the meeting to order. We're really just got into this. Cece's coming in online, and so we were going to talk about the our proposal for the city business liaison.
Yep.
Try to find room to put everything here. There we go.
So the other one, my puppet is Kara.
Okay. Okay. And so Cece's here. She's on mute, but that's okay. I mean, I'll start off. I think it's good. I mean, I think we've talked about this for years. I mean, Fran knows that, Pam knows that, as far as people that have been on Tim, they've been on Business Development Commission for a long time. I mean, we've wanted something like this. I think that, you know, raising the commercial business license makes it feasible from an economic standpoint and using some of the American Rescue funds. Does anybody want to add anything to the bullet points or objectives?
I just have a question on the person that we're going to look for on this. What would the salary range be? And what would the calculation be on the additional business license to accommodate that fee?
That's a good question.
Well, I
Did you
think,
just talk about that?
yeah, we did.
Okay,
I think last time we talked about, this will go to the council, and really it's the council that's going to determine whether these bullet points are to be tasked to someone within the city, or if outside will be brought in, if I remember correctly.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chair, I can
if
just,
I could
go ahead,
just-
Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, weigh in. I mean, I think that's the most appropriate thing, because keep in mind, we're gonna have to fill these tasks in a way that meets budget expectations as well. And I do think there's a little bit of overlap with some of the things Jen Starkey is doing. And so I do think in terms of a cohesive staffing perspective, we need to let Eric and the city manager take a little time to figure out what's the best path forward that way.
Chair and members, just to give you just a little bit of a sense, and I know Pam had made some nice comments to the chair and to myself. I had the opportunity in Coconino County, where I was before here, to hire our first economic development manager, was the title we used for that county. And Pam, your comments about real estate location and working with landlords and filling vacant space, certainly something they did, but also being the business liaison now, right? They came on board right as COVID hit and really dealt with helping the folks get the EIDL loans, the PPP coverage, restaurant restoration things, you know, became that connective tissue, right? A navigator and a coordinator of filling out those applications, business seminars and such. So I think there are other potentials in the bullets, you know, that management would look at in that regard. There is some crossover, as Councilwoman Arnold said, should this, you know, position evolve, that I think, you know, we'd have to work with Jen on, you know, how does that all work together? And I think, you know, from our perspective at City Hall, Jen Starkey's done a great job at doing a lot of these things. So, but there's always room for improvement and room for increased partnership with the community and such. So as to In general, on costs, to answer your quick the Bud question, we would look at it, the competitive market in the area for what people are paying and such. We figure about 48% of salary over again for ERE costs here at the city. So let's just say a $50,000 a year salary, that's really probably closer to $75,000 total cost to the city. And then, in terms of business licenses, $35 is easy to add. I think, while you've made a proposal, there would really be one that we would look at, how do we add funding stream? And there's also, just to be blunt for everyone, while the 3 business districts get an additional surcharge of the business licenses, there's a lot of general fund money that's generated by the business licenses. So there's a conversation with council. Do we add a surcharge? Do we consider this a service that we need to pay for out of current revenues or such? So that's certainly council's job, but just to give you a larger sense of the conversations we would have.
Well, I'm 100% behind this. We tried this when I first came on council, and of course, we were shot down pretty quickly, a couple of us. But I think this will more than pay for itself in sales tax increases.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think raising the license fees is something that we hadn't talked about when we talked about it years ago. In the past, we didn't have a good idea of how to fund it and how to pay for it. And so I think that's a good step.
It's been, as we talk about just business licenses in general, at least 10 years since we've raised them. I think many of the communities have kept them at pretty much their same level for a long time. We are pretty comparable to where the others are right now. Most of them use our graduated type of scale. A couple don't, but I haven't seen a lot of change in that direction lately. So
Okay.
at some point, the city should evolve into a review of that fee. And is it appropriate for the time and the services and such? And it may be, but we should just on a regular schedule evaluate those things.
So one of the reasons why I was in favor of doing just for all of the licenses is because this position will benefit absolutely everyone. Where there may be some general fund money that comes from the special taxing of the different districts, that there may be some hard feelings about that being appropriated for something that's really more for the broad business community. But yeah, even for in the very, very big picture, business being good here, whether it's retail, restaurants, things like that, does benefit all of the insurance agents, CPAs and lawyers and things like that, and the value of people's properties. So that's why my feeling is that if it could be for all of the licenses, that would be good.
Just to clarify my statement about that. So what I meant is there is an extra surcharge that business districts get. So if you're in a business district, you pay a business license and some more that goes to the business district. What I was saying is a vast majority of the business license revenue collected actually doesn't ever go to the business districts. It goes to the general fund. And so there's an argument that could be made that actually businesses are helping to subsidize other city functions outside of just business, because it's a $300,000 chunk. And, and I have had some businesses who say to me, we don't get that kind of support out of City Hall. We get some of that, but not the entirety of what you collect. And so that's always with revenue, right? I mean, anyone views a revenue stream as theirs always has a view on how it should be spent. So I just wanted to make sure that we understand that there's a good chunk of funds that do come in from business licenses.
Okay. Anybody else on screen have anything to add? Pam, I see you.
Yeah, I just wondered if this draft then would be revised to reflect some of the other concerns and questions and suggestions that we've all had.
So Mr. Chair, just pop in. I think we could do that right now. I
Yeah,
got
I
it
was
up in
thinking-
live so we could add language and finalize if we wanted to get it into the council. So.
Okay.
So any concerns, if you want to voice them now, and then we can talk about them and then get them added in.
Yeah, well, you had mentioned earlier some of my thoughts about, talking about how the BDC going back years and years really saw the need for maybe a little more aggressive selling of the community and dealing with landlords, as you said earlier, who some of whom are out of state at that time. I don't know what the percentage is now, but some who would leave business spaces dormant, and we weren't sure what the city could do about that. As I said, I don't know whether that's still a current issue, but just someone who can do some business recruitment for us as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a good thing to add as far as maybe a bullet point on the objectives. Something along the lines of business recruitment, working with some of the absentee landlords, or you could just put working with landlords to not get overly specific on it. Sorry to make you type on screen, Eric.
That's okay.
We're all watching.
You're all gonna see how this, how these big documents I put together really work, so.
You're doing a better job than I could.
Relationships. I'll fix the mistakes. I know there's many.
That's fine.
Between landlord, let's go back here, commercial. Property owners and increase occupancy.
And again, does anyone know whether that is a current issue, that it never goes away? It certainly was, years ago when we started talking about this issue.
We still do get, I'll use the word comments and concerns about, why can't I rent this building? I want to be right here on Lockwood and I can't get into it, and such. So there are still those issues. I will be honest with you, the city's tools are not many, right? I mean, we can't tell a landlord, you need to get this tenancy, taken care of. So,
Sure.
but there are potentials as developments come up, and I'm not talking like Douglas Hill developments. I mean, just development and potential movements where the city could leverage things in a little different manner, and look at how do we really incentivize that kind of property transfer or tenancy.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Would you like, I don't know if this was an issue, I wasn't here for COVID, was there, I'm looking at all of you that were business owners, who did you connect with on programs and to help understand, federal stimulus as it came, or just even workforce dollars, which are always available? Was there anyone, is it a county function that you've dealt with? Have you just never dealt with it, or?
Our bank.
Yeah, I think what I've seen with small business owners, if they have a good banker or a good
Yeah.
CPA,
Sure.
They got good advice, but unfortunately, if they didn't, they were kind of left high and dry. So, yeah, I think.
To be fair, I think that the Chamber of Commerce did a fair job of trying to
That's a good
share
point, too.
information too.
Yeah.
Would you like this person to be involved in that? I mean, I think adding bullet points on what you see as needs would be helpful for the council, right? So even if they take 3 bullet points and like, that's already in a staff position, we're not gonna, add to it. There may be a vacuum that needs to be filled. I don't want to speak for Councilwoman Arnold or the rest of the council, but it may be.
I don't think it would hurt. I mean.
No,
One thing I
don't.
thought of that would be great for this, because it is so hard to find on the state website, is when the tax rates change, the sales tax.
Oh, sure.
Like if this position could help keep us informed on, well-educated on things like the use tax vote.
Right.
Or like
Sure.
the change in when the sales tax rates change and things like that, because they leave it up to the business owners to figure it out.
That encompass what we were talking about? I do agree about sales tax rates. We haven't changed ours since 19, so we'll.
Yeah.
But we-
Yeah.
I can't speak for the
You
Chamber
can
of
give an
Commerce.
example.
I'm sorry.
You're okay.
I can't speak for the Chamber of Commerce Board. I'm on the board and I want to take this to them. So I don't know if it's proper to put it in there, or maybe something where this person works in cooperation or conjunction or whatever partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. So I don't know if it's appropriate to put this in there. That's going to go to the city council right now without the board's approval of having something in there, but I'm sure they'd like to have that in there. But I can't get that done until we have the next board meeting.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I think we could word it about chamber and other interested nonprofits, right? I mean, the city certainly doesn't want to just solely single out the chamber in this type of thing, but if there are other groups that, you know, may want to do work in this area, I think of many different nonprofits, a housing collaborative or something like that, you know, that this person could help coordinate along. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd work.
That's
think
good
it's
with
fair.
everyone. So.
Kevin, did you have more to add? I know Bud started talking and you kind of stopped.
Oh, only that in that sentence that he added, if he could put, for example, sales tax
Sure.
rate change,
Okay.
so that they would know exactly what.
Oh, my Lord, look at that type in there.
It's like me trying to parallel park in front of the library the other day.
Nobody's
We were
watching.
bidding, just nobody was
You do it
watching.
live.
Yeah, really good when there's no audience.
Anyone ever had commerce rice? Let's see right here, including such as. And I'll give another example, and potential workforce development. So let's just give an example that puts some flesh on it. How's that sound?
I think that's good. Anybody else on screen? Anything else to add? Andrew, CC?
I'm good. I think you just added the point that Pam made. That was mine too. A sticking point.
Looks good to me. You know, the business community might appreciate a note that, you know, maybe an objective of engaging in strategic planning and working to promote connectivity amongst the various business districts, whatever that means, but not essential.
That would certainly be helpful. I mean, if the city's going to have this kind of position, I think we could add something.
Yeah.
We would likely want to develop sort of an economic development master plan. I'll use that term. There's many different ways to call it, right? But I mean, where are we pointing the ship, right? I mean, what's the goal behind that, and work across those things? So let's figure that out here. Input. Business community and interested parties. Call it that for now. Master plan, is that okay, folks, if I use that term?
Well, let me suggest this. If you put in there that this individual is going to develop a master plan, that means that we're going to be hiring another person to do that function. So, and I don't think that was our intention. Our intention was that if there was enough time for this with all these other duties, that they would be the individual with reaching out. Does everybody agree with that or see it differently?
You think it needs to be two different roles, you're saying? With
No,
the-
I'm saying the way it just got written is when you say develop a economic plan, you know, coordinate or what, let's see, develop an, I'm saying the way it was just written is, yeah, economic development master plan. That's a strategic position, not a tactical phrase.
Different
So
skill sets, you're saying.
I'm saying that that person is going to say, well, you asked me to develop this plan, not to execute this plan. And then they're going to want someone to come in and deal with the phone work, you know? So I just think we should make it so that it says that they are the person doing the work.
Develop and execute.
Yeah, maybe execute is the word.
Instead of develop.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You do that. We'll just put it that way.
I think so.
Yeah, looks good. Does anybody else have anything to add?
I just have sort of a philosophical comment. Again, this is something, Mike might remember this, that we talked about a long time ago. May not fit here, this is pretty definitive. But when we think about the development of the whole, the business side of the city, sometimes, I'm wondering whether it's always going to be an organic development. In other words, years ago, no one thought that Webster would necessarily be known for its restaurants. What happened on Lockwood was really kind of an organic thing that we're really lucky to get the business owners and folk, creativity that's there. We think of ourselves sort of in a public relations way as a city of arts, which I think is a really good thing to do. But is that within our purview? Not necessarily, just to think about it, whether the city can determine the nature of the business community, or whether we just always react to good things that happen and try to fix bad landlords. Am I making any sense at 8:15?
Yeah, Pam, you completely are. It is wholly within the nature of the city to be able to help determine that. I'll give a classic example. Long ago, before any of us were taking in good oxygen, the city made, with zoning and how the city would grow, made a determination to have a very small industrial or manufacturing base. I mean, there is very little land in Webster Groves dedicated to that type of function, right?
Right.
Whereas other communities have much more industrial zoning allowance, right? And despite being one of the larger of the land area cities, sort of in our relative area of the county, we made that decision. The same can be done when we look at, and I'll use Douglas Hill as an example, right? And just because it's recent, but the city could, really talk about, if we're going to redevelop Old Webster, Old Orchard, look up to the Marshall Summit area, look at Yorkshire, could really say this is the direction we're going, right? Now, the community has to be engaged in that and needs to support that, but it certainly could be. We want to move into a destination retail type of space. We want to move into a hub for restaurant. We want to build a commercial set of properties that are in a certain way. So the city has every possibility to lead that in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of balancing factors in that, right? The historic nature of much of our business communities. Do we want to keep that? How does it look? What kind of shops do we want? And we do react in a lot of ways because of just, I don't think we do have that sense of a master plan. I don't want to speak again for the councilwoman and anyone else, but we have been reactionary to who comes in, which is fine. Not saying that's bad, but it's not, we haven't said we really want to see a tech hub here, or this really needs to be a place where we can do co-working space or incubate for, smaller businesses that don't need huge real estate footprints, or we want to see more law firms. We want Andrew's law firm to be right here on Lockwood, where everyone can, go to lunch and enjoy that. We can enjoy that revenue. So we have that opportunity. We just really haven't engaged in that space, my opinion.
I was never sure what the BDC's role was in that particular question. It's something we might think about talking about more, maybe.
I think back to the fundamental first part of the BDC's job, and you're doing it right now, is to give the council those kinds of recommendations, right? I mean, if you feel like that we're too reactionary rather than leading certain businesses into space and into how we see our community, that's the kind of recommendations that the commission can make to the council.
Mhm.
And really its core function, so.
Actually, I think that could be really neat, because the people that are gonna know people who are wanting to start businesses and maybe look at moving into Webster are gonna be the business owners. So if you can lead us on some ideas, in like zoning, especially like Marshall Summit, if you can give us some ideas on what would be good fits there, we can reach out to people that are looking for spaces and begin that
Somebody will
dialogue.
comment your business in that area. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Civil Alchemy's done a beautiful job of that up there.
I think, you know, that we have loosened some of the regulations, but there's also that. I mean, at one time, you know, we were a relatively dry town in terms of what kind of businesses we allowed. And I think tattoo parlors are allowed, but it's not easy to be one, right? So I mean, but again, those regulations sort of say who we invite and who we don't as well,
Mhm.
right? And so, I mean, there's lots of area to look at.
Mhm. I think that might be obviously a bigger question than what we're dealing with today, but some things in terms of just defining the position and the idea of recruiting people, I mean, it leads to other larger questions
Mhm.
about the character of the business districts, really,
Mhm.
what they're known for, you know, how you identify them.
Good deal.
That's it. That's as much as I can say at this time of the morning.
It's a Friday too. I mean, we're used to meeting on
Yeah, but we
Thursdays, so. I
have
get it.
sort of talked about that issue before.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we've talked about as far as like having someone in core businesses and, you know,
Mhm.
be that intermediary, bring in, I think this person can do that. So,
I think actually, again, going back to old discussions, one thing we decided we didn't want more of was banks. And I don't know how you all feel about it.
banks and insurance offices and stuff like that.
No,
so.
insurance officers are fine, Mike.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
just a point, it might be interested, well, everybody will be interested in seeing how our new city council looks at this and what suggestions they might have.
Mhm.
I don't think we have anything. All right, does anybody have anything else to add? Or are we good with it? Should we vote on it? as far as
There's
seeing it?
one
Go
thing that
ahead.
I want to be sure as we go looking at this, and maybe as the council takes a look, because there's a lot of high thinking
Mhm.
involved with this. And I don't want the meaningful dissemination of information and
Mhm.
sharing of that to like, because people will have preferred and non-preferred
Mhm.
activities.
Yeah.
And so if this is all gonna be in one job or whatever, to just make sure that the core, you know, little bits that we're looking for
Yeah.
as existing business owners don't get lost.
So and I can add to that, this will obviously go to the council. I think, Councilwoman Arnold is on and soon will be mayor and will run meetings and such. But as we present the budget, as I indicated last time, we have put a placeholder in for a conversation about this, and some other commissions have some ideas, so they're going to be invited by the manager to come and, just briefly address the point of, their request and such.
Mhm.
We would be looking to invite the BDC to have somebody come, and the letter would obviously be there, but to really address the council in person on what's the goal and the purpose, sort of engage
Yeah,
in some back
answer
and forth and
questions,
answer
yeah.
questions. The budget will take several meetings, so it won't be the first meeting and such, but to have intentional time around, is this a space we want to move into? And then if so, how do we then provide the adequate funding and the appropriate mechanisms to make sure that gets done?
Good.
So,
Okay.
and Pam, I think to answer a question you asked an email about HR and input, and, obviously, I think you were concerned about not making someone lose their job. Should the council authorize the position, we certainly would want to work with some folks on BDC to make sure we've captured the position appropriately in terms of the description and the advertisement and recruitment efforts for it. But then also, in general, we do group interviews, so we would want to find some folks from the business community, probably create a community panel as we go through finalists to really talk about, with the top 3-4 people that rise on this, and get a sense from the business community, since they're going to work with you all, is this
Mhm.
person really connecting in that regard?
Mhm. Good, thank you.
Does anybody else have anything to add, or should we go ahead and finalize it or vote to finalize it and then? move on
I just
with it?
really quick, Mike, want to say thank you because I think this gives the council some clear idea of what is needed. And we need to hear that from you because obviously we aren't inundated, Pam's running her own business, but the rest of us are not. So thanks for this. And I will do my best to advocate for it with the council.
All right, thank you, Mayor Arnold, or Mayor-elect Arnold, I guess. Mayor Arnold.
Councilwoman
Councilwoman
Stay.
You said
Councilwoman,
Councilwoman, right?
yeah.
Councilwoman Arnold. Oh. All right, well, good deal. Well,
Oops, Kara's
oh,
here. I'm
Kara's here.
gonna make sure Kara,
Let's bring her in real
bring
quick.
her in real quick, yep. Hi, Kara.
Hi.
Good
So sorry to
afternoon.
join so late. I had 3 child dentist appointments this morning that ran longer than I expected. So
You're okay.
good morning.
We made a couple bullet point adjustments to the draft. But we were kind of just getting ready to wrap it up. And so do you want to take a quick look at what's there? Give you a minute if you have anything else to add. Sorry to put you on the spot,
No,
but
that's okay. Let me
Via
read
your
through
input.
it. You guys can continue, and if I have anything, I'll speak up, but I'm sure it's fine.
yeah.
While Kara's looking to give everyone a sense, the council will be seated on the 19th, the new council.
Mhm.
We will roll the budget to them on May 3rd.
Okay.
So I would expect there'll probably be a special meeting. So in May at some point is when we'll be asking commissions that have these particular proposals or requests to come and meet with the council.
Okay.
So that brings up a good question. What's the timeline on this? So like if it were to progress as normal, when would we be looking at like
Yeah.
trying to interview? people?
So ultimately, since it's a new position, we would, it would need budget authority to be able to do so. Once the budget authority is there, we can recruit. So let's just say by the end of May, the council said, yes, we want to do this, and adopted an amendment to the budget to put in that money, even though the budget's not approved until later in June. The administration then can start the process of recruitment. So theoretically, let's say that happens June 1, we start recruitment with you all in conversation. We could be interviewing in July. We could have someone easily on board by September 1 at the latest, if we move intentionally.
So I do though want to temper that just a little bit, because remember, we have a very, very challenging budget situation already. And so we're going to have to figure out how to fit this in. And so, yes, it could be a very quick timeline, but please don't get discouraged if it's not instantly something that goes right into the budget. It may take a little while to get all these functions into an individual position. So I just be a little patient with us if you could, please.
Absolutely.
It was the big if there at the beginning on my end, was if the council approves the funding, that's a big if, so, yeah. But once that happens, we can move swiftly through recruitment, so obviously hoping for good recruitment,
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a process, but is in the portions of the process, I know that's really important, it's gonna take a lot of people's time and energy and focus. Are there any of these like communication tasks or anything like that we can try to at least soft, like incorporate
Sure.
into
Well,
tasks?
And Jenny Starkey has many of these already. I mean, the Explore Webster page that's coming up, it has a citywide calendar for business events and issues and things like that. We do have, and we've talked about creating a business newsletter. We have most folks on the business community is on our Friday page, so a lot of those things are there, but we can create a more business specific one. There are some things that have been aggravations for all of us, as we talked about, folks just start doing road work without ever telling us they're going to do road work and such. So I think we could start those processes. I mean, it was the communication draft was well received, in our offices and such that, okay, there's folks aren't feeling like they're hearing us, so that's fine. We figure out a way to help enhance that. So.
Okay, just, cause,
Mhm.
by the time world and life
Right.
gets going, it could be, fourth quarter before
Sure,
somebody might be
exactly.
in.
Yeah.
Sure. Good deal. Carrie, do you have anything else to add or?
No, I mean, I think this looks good. I like the additional points that have been added. I think that, after sitting on this committee and us having many ideas and not always having someone to facilitate those within the city, I think this would be super helpful.
I agree. I think it encompasses a lot of things that we've talked about for a lot of years on Business Development Commission. So I'm excited about it, and I think we should go ahead and finalize the draft and get it over to City Council. So
I just have a commercial interruption. I see snowflakes outside my window.
it was snowing this morning when I was taking the kids to school for sure.
Oh,
So yeah.
The new norm, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, good deal. Well,
So
Do we have to
I
vote
would
to
I would
finalize it?
encourage that we get a motion and have a
Yeah.
vote just to make
Yeah.
it, since it's a
Okay, I
recommendation.
make a motion that we send this to the council as written.
I second.
Okay, so we have a second, all in favor?
I,
Aye. All right. Good deal. We'll get it finalized then and get it over. So it'll be exciting next month or so. And,
Yeah.
Certainly keep us in the loop with, timeframes and everything like that, Eric.
Yep, so we will, as staff, since you have finalized this, we'll get you all a final copy and then also send this to council and to the manager today.
Perfect.
So you'll all have a copy.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone, for being available on a Friday and a special meeting, and everybody have a great day and a great weekend.
okay.
Yeah, you too.
bye.
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 Take care. You guys have any